Another common harvesting mistake is getting caught up on extra tissue. This happens for a couple reasons. Mostly it's because of an incomplete dissection. Maybe you were going too fast, or maybe you forgot to dissect a section of vein. And that's why we advocate for a posterior pass and an anterior pass, or doing a 6 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and 9 o'clock, because it's the same way every time. If we stay in the 6 o'clock rotation as we're dissecting, we don't go 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock to 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock. That's how you lose track of what needs to be dissected, what doesn't. If you say, I'm going posterior, and you go posterior all the way up as far as the tunnel will let you, come all the way back, now I'm going anterior. You go all the way up, and you're not chasing things as you go, then you're much, much less likely to leave some connective tissue or some tissue undissected. The other time that this happens is as people, I laugh only because I've completely done this before, as people have inserted the harvester into the tunnel and they're working their way up, maybe they're not paying attention, or maybe they're watching a certain part of the screen, and they're getting trapped on the vessel itself as they go up, or they're getting caught on connective tissue out in the tunnel, or their cutter is out, and so that's actually getting stuck. I've seen this where there's like a little band of tissue. The cutter will go behind that, and then you'll say, "What, man, I'm really running into something. This does not make any sense." And it's because you're not paying attention to the tunnel. So you want to stay in your tunnel. You want to kind of keep everything free. That's again why we rock the scope back and forth. It's not a bad habit to kind of pull this cutter in. If you're using the McKay scope, it's a really good habit to get into of pulling your camera back, and it'll sound like this. In addition to pulling that back, you also want to make sure that your C-ring is fully retracted, and you want to make sure that your cutter is fully retracted, so that as you're working your way up the tunnel, you don't have other instruments or other parts of the instrument sticking out and getting hung up on that tunnel as you go. Once you get to the top of your tunnel, you can re-engage your camera, and then you can start to extend that C-ring, and you can start working your way back for your harvest. So the cure to getting hung up on tissue is a more complete harvest. So staying with those passes like we talked about. Then as you're harvesting, if you're getting hung up on extra tissue with your cutter, or as you are manipulating the McKay scope, you're getting hung up on a lot of extra stuff, you just want to maybe try a different angle. You want to try to instead of rotating that scope to try to get at a branch, maybe you need to lift that scope. Maybe you need to pull kind of across the tunnel and then kind of go up in the opposite direction. Sometimes that can cause a little tissue to fall away from your branch to get a nice clean shot. Sometimes it's just because of an incomplete dissection, and you just have to be more careful. In extreme cases, I might even pull the scope all the way out, dry that camera completely off, put it back in the dissector, go in, finish dissecting the part I forgot about, and then going back, switching back to the harvester, and then harvesting and moving on.